right, man. We're getting closer to this draft, and it's bizarre. One of the most exciting times for football, there's no games even being played. The hope of the offseason, the young player that can come on and change your roster, makes the draft, and it's the whole wargaming of who's going to pick. It's unbelievable how no actual gameplay can get this much focus and this much coverage. And I'm excited. I'm always excited. I missed the Ricky draft. I wanted to go so bad. I love Ricky in college. And I got this deadly flu or whatever, fever, and I like mung in my lungs. And I couldn't go. I love the draft. I need to do a little better research on it, but it's almost here. So I'm not going to get into the draft right now because there's some other side stuff. Got some other stuff lined up. I want to cover today the throwing motion of Tua. And it's really interesting, and I got a little take on it. I don't hear anybody else mentioning it, but I'm sure some parts they are, so I'm going to get into that. McD got some talk from Terron, and I was going to express how I feel and see what you guys think. Also, I did a little technology thing with Rob Everett being signed, but I want you guys. I see things as far as where this technology is going, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And then I said I wasn't going to do any offensive line stuff, so I'm going to save it to the end because some people now want to hear about it. But this is very relevant. It's germane, big college word. Rival scouts are seeing. Matt Miller said that rival scouts believe that the Dolphins are targeting an offensive line with their first pick. I mean, you don't know. It depends on who falls there. So I'm going to get into that at the very end. So if you don't want to talk about offensive line, and I didn't mean to, but I got to talk about it. So anyway, guys. All right, so we got this. Terron Armstead talks about playing for Mike McDaniel and mentions how Mike McDaniel cries a lot and is an emotional guy. He also talks about how Mike McDaniel puts the losses on himself and how he can get emotional reviewing plays with the team. Now, from a human standpoint, I love it. I mean, Dick Vermeil, I like Dick Vermeil. He was a crier. I like emotions. I've spent the last 30 years or so trying to cap my emotions because I'm highly, highly emotional. And I said, I like Dick Vermeil. He cried a lot and he won a Super Bowl. But I don't know. There's something that bothers me with this. I'm not saying I don't like the guy or whatever. I do. There's things that I like about him. But as a leader, crying a lot and being emotional and putting the loss on yourself, for me, what I've learned in leadership, you have to have connection and distance with the people you're leading. It cannot be total connection and total distance. Now, some people said Flores was totally distant, and that don't work. But you can get too involved with your players, and then it gets out of control. We've seen that happen before. Rex Ryan was a kind of guy like that. But the crying thing, it's a team game. He does not lose games for us. I mean, I'm sure there's some games where he has, that's what happens. But I mean, on a consistent basis, it's a team effort. And you can't really talk about yourself too much in leadership. You've got to keep that connection as far as I screwed up, you screwed up. And, you can't get too emotional. You need a little strength. The crying, the emotional, knowing you care. I like it a ton. I like it a ton as a person. I mean, although I wouldn't want to have a friend that cried all the time. I knew a guy like that guy who cried all the time. It's like, dude, it's making me uncomfortable. But maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know. But I like him as a person. I'm just a little concerned that there's just not enough patting and ball grabbing, do it, you type thing. You need some of that. So it bothers me a little bit. I think that you got to hem in your own emotions. Even too much rah-rah. There's got to be a level of control at leadership. And so, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not indicting the guy, but it does concern me a little bit. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm just old school. Maybe I don't see it right. I remember hard-nosed coaches, and my favorites that coached me, they were hard-nosed. I mean, scream at me, whack me in the back of the head. Then after the game, hey, kid, I don't know. I like that duality, almost like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. But that means maybe I got mental issues. Anyway, just put that out there. I don't think Terron was bashing him in any way, shape, or form. But I don't know. Anyway, so to his throwing motion, you could see it here. It looks different. And I had talked to Al from 3 yards per carry like 2 or 3 years ago. I said, I don't like that throwing motion. He has this thing where he throws the football and the leg swings out. Now, I'm not talking about the upper, but the platform where the feet are in the ground, that to me is the highest determiner of the velocity and control. I mean, then obviously you got to have your arm going in the right direction, all that stuff there. But to me, the biggest difference that I saw was the control of that back foot. It swung around a lot. And I really like the way this motion is going. I believe that when you get your feet grounded in the ground, obviously not if you're leaping in the air and doing things, but when you got your feet in the ground the way he's doing, the way the toes are pointing and everything, it shows, that, to me, it says there's going to be a lot more accuracy, a lot more velocity. It's a lot more controlled. You go back to 2020, and I did like 2.5-hour video, broke up like 2 or 3 parts, about Tua, and I focused on his mechanics. And I said back then, that release and his skill set, if he follows Breeze's path and just gets absolute throwing hygiene, the way Brady did, the way the Breeze did, I think this kid, his ability to throw the football is going to be very, very good, and it's going to grow from where it was. Remember, that hip was damaged. He wasn't healthy to 2020. He said it. He kind of got rushed in. Then that weird throwing motion, I think, started around 2021. It continued into 2022. It seemed to get control at certain points and lose control. But it was always that back leg swing out. And then Al from 3 yards per carry said, that's the way they're teaching me. It's kind of like a new school thing. And I'm wondering, because that hip, maybe it alleviates the torque on the hip. Maybe now you drop the weight, and you feel like your hip is at a point where you can really drive full, that he's totally recovered, that maybe that part of this new technique, which is kind of conventional technique, is health related too. So this, no matter how you slice it, him working on his mechanics, his throwing mechanics, and following that Breeze path. Because Breeze, when you watch him, and Brady too, they knew they had limitations. So you maximize your potential by doing things in a perfect manner. You create the framework for the ball to come out in the best framework you can. And so the mechanics are looking really good. This, along with the weight drop, I think offers some really good potential for what Tua is doing. We'll see. And I was talking to somebody, and I said, I like it. You notice how when he did the jiu-jitsu thing and he learned how to fall, he picked up in one off season. But that's different. It's easier to install new technique that's like your tabula rasa, and then have it activate in instinct than it is to take some old technique that you've turned to instinct and then rewrite it. So I'm interested to see, because for me, it's always evaluation. And his ability to tuck that chin and take those falls and that growth in a short period of time showed hard work, dedication, and an elastic brain to adapt. How much does he hold to this new technique when things get hot, when the pressure's on, and when he gets a little nervous? They all get nervous. Can he hold to this technique? I'm sure in clean pockets, and maybe later in the season will get better. But I'm very interested to see how he absorbs this, and he takes the old technique and deletes it, and then adds the new technique and holds to it on the fire. It's going to be a very interesting evaluation of the kid's ability to learn and then install new stuff. And I was talking to somebody else, and he said, Tua, you can't learn a system. Guys had a different offensive system every year since college. This is the first year he had 2 of the same system. Next year will be his 3rd. So this is good. To me, this is the year to really evaluate so many things but Tua, I think most especially, and I'm really very interested to see how this goes. Now, AI is, and technology and the usage of it it's unknown. There's so much going on with it. But guys, this thing is like you could run film through an AI. An AI can watch a kid in college. He could watch the kid in the pros when he's healthy. And then the kid gets nicked up. And then they see his gait, the way he walks, analyze it against the previous healthy version, and they can tell you how compromised this kid is just from a very basic standpoint. AI could do so much stuff. It's scary. It's really, really scary. There's all kind of stuff going on. I don't want to talk because I feel like nobody watched Terminator 1. He's developing this stuff. But the implementation of technology and AI and analytics, some people, they say they didn't like my usage of analytics or you over-rely on it. They don't like PFF. But here's the Dolphins that are installing this in a big way with the bring of Everett. And without a doubt, and I really want somebody that has contact. I got to start asking some people to talk to Rob Everett. I think he's the most intriguing guy on the team right now because the whole world, like Gutenberg's printing press, changed everything in like the 1400s. This AI install is way bigger than that. And so all this technology, it could be dangerous. I'm not going to get into all that, but its implementation into football is going to change football dramatically. And I'm sure it is hush, hush, because people are trying to figure out how to get an edge. I mean, they steal signals. They film you on the side. They take drugs and all this other stuff. What do you think they're doing with AI and technology? I would love to ask Rob Everett. I don't know if he tell you how much is AI either A, being implemented now, or is there any concept? Is there any vision of employing AI into football directly with the staff in the future? I think it's just so tremendous. So anyway, I get to that. Now, the last part, guys. I'll get to the offensive line last. I forgot, guys. Gonna do the live on Friday. It's offensive line and it's Tua and it's receivers. It's not just about the offensive line. Scott, he's a smart guy. He did all this analytics. I'm going to incorporate mine with his. And the goal is not to say offensive line sucks or it's great or whatever. It's to look at Tua's last two seasons and say, hey, is Tua better served with more receiving talent, or is he better served with more line talent? Which one brings him to more optimal production level? And so, to me, it's fascinating. And he's going to go back and run through and do some even more analytics. So it's going to be very interesting. We're going to do that Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So come check us out. There's a couple guys going to be on with me. Anybody who wants to come on, contact me at curtis@aceperhead.com, and you can come on. Sure, but that's not all we're going to do. We're going to do some other stuff. I'm going to break that out over there, plus comments or whatever. I think it's fascinating. I really, really do, because Chris Greer, he's got this eval of skills and light on the offensive line. And it could be revolutionary. It really could. Even for all the people out there at offensive line, I mean, it could be. But history says something different. History is more like what Harbaugh was saying. And so just as like this AI thing is sitting there, and it's so intriguing, the philosophy that we're putting together right now for this season with the Greer and then the converse Harbaugh thing, I think it's fascinating if you're a football person. I mean, we all want it to be great for the Dolphins, but from a football standpoint, it's fascinating. So come check us out Friday night. Anyway, like, subscribes, comments, and views, all that stuff. It makes this channel happen, guys. I appreciate all you do, without a doubt. Without you guys, this is not happening. I love to do this. I'm so passionate about the game. And, it's one thing you're yelling at your buddies and stuff like that. I get to do it with you. I get to do it for a living. I get to spend way more time than I used to doing it. So I'm so grateful for you guys. So I want to give a shout out to you. Shout out to Ace Bread. Because without you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so last part here. I had said, I wonder, is Chris Grier, because, say whatever you want about the guy. I'm not a big fan of him in some regards. He's slick. He's got smoke and mirror thing going. That's how he gets all the stuff that happens. And so I was wondering, is all this push for receiver and edge guys and just a way to kind of smoke and mirror so you don't get a guy who's right behind you to trade up to grab an offensive lineman? Because a lot of people are saying this could be the most amount of tackles taken in any draft in NFL history. That's kind of what we're seeing here. And if that's the case, the Dolphins either could benefit from that because guys are taking tackles, guys are taking quarterbacks, guys are taking receivers, and then you find a guy who would normally be taken way earlier sitting with you, whether it's, an interior offensive lineman, whether it's an edge guy, whatever. But maybe you're on that cusp and a good tackle sitting there, and everyone's going, Chris Grier, you don't like offensive linemen, he wants a receiver. So Matt Miller from ESPN said the Dolphins' first-round targets are tough to nail. This was a quote. But scouts from opposing teams believe the offensive line will be a team's priority at number 21, Miller wrote. Miami did just lose some key players of that unit in free agency. Also an injury, but I think more than free agency with Connor. So it was also reported that obviously the Dolphins fade to at least one free agent offensive lineman. They would check in with him after the 2023 draft. So Miami's saying that it could be also to, hey, we're really trying to pretend to look for offensive linemen and they want who knows? But if you're taking it at face value, they know they need to upgrade this offensive line. Now, if you're like me, you say, oh, no, duh. But they're looking to upgrade this offensive line. Now, it doesn't mean it's a first-round pick. The scouts believe that because if you look at the team, you got almost everything you need. You see weakness in the D-line interior as far as, peak talent. And then you look at the offensive line. It's like, what else what are you missing aside from Chubb and Phillips who are out? But when they're back, you're not really looking at that. So, Dolphins could get a guy in the second round. There's lots of guys out there. I hear people talking about them all the time. But maybe they're playing 4D chess in this, and it's the offensive line. But it does come down to who's available. I know I want the JPJ, but I don't know if he would go for that. Even though we grabbed Pouncey, the top pick, and he was part of that selection. So it'll be very interesting to see. But clearly, you know that we got the first, a second round pick, a fifth, a sixth, 2 sixths, and a seventh. It gets hard to find guys. If you can pick guys in the fifth and sixth and seventh round, and they become even backup offensive linemen of quality, it is go juice for your team. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. Clearly, I think Miami knows they need to add some more. Risner is a guy. He's got, what's his face? The agent. I can't remember the guy's name. And he works with Miami a lot. So maybe that's it. We'll see. I definitely think they need to add talent in this offensive line. But maybe they'll grab the guy and shock everybody. And I will say, yay! I don't know. We'll see. Very interesting. Anyway, guys, catch you next time. Be well. As my daughter wants me to say, Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.